Good evening. If you are in the back and you'd like to come have a seat, we're about to begin the program. Otherwise, if you prefer standing, that's also wonderful. My name is Catherine Beckett. I am on the faculty in the Law Societies and Justice Department, currently serving as chair. And I've also had the pleasure of being on the steering committee for the Center for Human Rights for many years. And I have a very daunting task. A little louder. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I have the daunting task of filling in for Angelina Godoy this evening, who's unfill-inable for, but is attending her daughter's graduation in college. And so that is a very joyous thing. So I'm delighted that she's able to be there with her, and she sends her regrets. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Coast Salish peoples of this land which touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Duwamish, Puyallup, Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. And I'd also like to briefly thank the sponsors for this evening's event, and those include the Law Societies and Justice Department, the Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies Department, and the Harry Bridges Center for Labor Studies. So again, we're really delighted to have you all here tonight. This Spring Symposium began, well, the first one was in 2010, and it is an annual event in which we celebrate the accomplishments of our many researchers and educators. And we are very close to celebrating next year the 15th anniversary of the founding of the Center for Human Rights. So really looking forward to that joyous occasion as well. We are excited tonight to focus on one of our newest collaborations, which is the work with Strategies for Massage Parlor Workers and Rights and the Massage Parlor Outreach Project. For those of you who are new to the Center of Human Rights, we are a small but mighty research center that places the resources of the university in the service of real-world change. We evaluate our success in terms of practical accomplishments for justice, and everything we do is conducted through partnership with organizations that are on the front lines of global human rights struggles. This year and every year at this annual event, we have the honor and pleasure of being able to celebrate the students who have been selected to receive funds for their projects on various human rights issues. These students come from across UW campuses and departments, and we want to take a moment tonight to introduce you to some of the awardees for this year. So with that, I'm going to call people's names, and when your name is called, please come on up to receive your certificate. And I will say things about you and embarrass you a little bit while you're doing that. Yeah, definitely. Okay, I've been asked to go slower, which is not my forte, so I'm going to try really hard. But if I'm still going too fast, please feel free to wave at me and I will try to slow down. Okay, first we'd like to call up the Abe Osheroff and Gunnell Clark awardees, who are Kira Henson and Julie Fung. Come on up. Kira is a student majoring in Law, Societies, and Justice. Excellent choice. And this award will help her further her work with La Resistencia to provide support and advocacy for immigrants detained at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, including planning a series of events on campus and in the community, and working in support of efforts to close the detention center. Congratulations, Kira. And Julie Fung, is Julie here this evening? Okay, apparently Julie is not here this evening. Julie is a PhD student in communications and has been working for 3 years with the Unemployment Insurance Campaign Coalition, which is a group that includes many labor and community organizations committed to building an unemployment program for undocumented workers in Washington state. Julie will use proceeds from the Osheroff Clark Fund to provide stipends to compensate workers for their advocacy efforts. So congratulations to Julie. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Wonderful. Next, we have the recipient of the Lisa Sable Brown Fund, who is Itza Carbajal. Itza, are you here? Oh, well, right, won't make it tonight. Itza is a PhD student at the Information School. The funds from this award will allow Itza to conduct an investigation with Colombian youth on the themes of personal, communal, and institutional histories. They will also serve as, this research will also serve as an exploratory study on the creation, use, and preservation of records by and about youth, especially those from underrepresented populations. So congratulations to Itza as well. And next we have the recipients of the 2023 Mack and Mayerfeld Award. Thank you, Jamie. These are Ji-Hyun Pei and Allison Goldberg. And I know Allison will not be here this evening. Please come on up. Ji-Hyun is a PhD student in political science and is writing a dissertation about authoritarian government's use of international law. This year, Ji-Hyun will use the funds from the UWCHR to administer a two-country survey that will enable her to compare how international laws deployed by democratic and autocratic regimes can shape public attitudes about the treatment of refugees. So congratulations. And Allison is a PhD student in sociology who is studying the emergence and impact of the progressive prosecutor movement as a key tactic in efforts to dismantle mass incarceration. She will use funds from the Mack Mayerfeld Fund to cover costs associated with acquiring county data and prosecutorial records. So congratulations to Allie as well. All right, next we have the 2023 Ben Linder Fellow, who is Nicole Grabiel. Come on up, Nicole. Nicole is a junior at the University of Washington, double majoring in history and global and regional studies. Support from the Linder Fund will enable Nicole to dig deeper into her work on the Salvadoran Civil War and to expand beyond the Salvadoran context to that of other Central American countries, continuing the ongoing work to support victims' pursuit of truth, justice, and reparations for past abuses. Congratulations. And finally, we have the recipient of the Jen Caldwell Fund, who is Destiny Moreno. Destiny is a first-year student in the University of Washington School of Law. Destiny joined the Center for Human Rights research team in late 2022 to assist with a project on surveillance, policing, and inequality in the city of Seattle. This project is an outgrowth of the center's previous work on automated license plate readers and the threat they pose to migrant justice and to abortion rights in Washington state. So please join me in celebrating all of these well-deserving recipients of these fantastic awards. Wonderful. And then we'd like to, Y is the Associate Director of the Center for Human Rights, and Y is going to honor and I believe call up the other student researchers who would also like to honor.
Can everybody hear me okay? I prepared some remarks because I'm nervous. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Y. In email, it says Guy Huai Wing, which it's really confusing because I tell people I'm Y and they don't know I'm the same person I'm emailing. But I'm the Associate Director of the Center and I handle the day-to-day operations. Just wanted to say thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening, especially since it is gorgeous out there and we just got the sunshine for the first time. So thank you. And thanks for allowing me this moment to say a few words. I am going to move on to the next section. So I get the privilege of working with a very special team, and they are Angelina Godoy, our director, Phil Neff, is our research coordinator. Phil is somewhere around here, and right there, he's right there. And Andrea Marcos, our new communications manager right here. Thank you so much, guys, for making this evening happen. Couldn't do it without you. But the other aspect of the center that I love and the reason why I'm up here are the students. I get to work with some quite amazing students who form a part of the different projects that are housed at the center. And I want to take this moment to thank and recognize them for their hard work and dedication. They are the lifeblood of our center. And while I don't get to work with them directly and haven't met most of them in person, I sure do know a lot of intimate details about them. I have your social security number, your ID, and possibly your mother's maiden name. That one's a joke. But jokes aside, these are some of the most hardworking people I've ever met. They are first and foremost students, so they have a lot on their hands as it is. And many of them have jobs. But on top of it, they serve as our research fellows and interns, and they're doing amazing and important work. Sometimes the work is very tedious and very boring, and at times actually quite painful, as many of them receive documents through public records and declassified documents about abuse, torture, and even death. They do it with grace and without complaint. And some of them get assigned a task and they turn it around so quickly that Angelina has said, "Are you doing your school work? Because you're turning this around really quickly. What are you doing with your time?" But she also knows that these are some of our students who are getting straight A's. And so we are really lucky to work with some really amazing students. And all my rambling is to say thank you very much for being a part of the CHR and for helping make an impact here on campus, in our state, and beyond. And if I have the RSVP list correct, please come up as I call your names. If everyone can come up, we have a little something small for you. Some of you I've never met before or even asked how to pronounce your name. I've only butchered it via email when I'm reading it. So please forgive me for that. I have Rita. Please come up. Rita, Jade. Is Jade here? Jade Dudawar? Maybe not. Jessica Rose. Please come on up, guys. Kimberly Chen, Chris Thompson, Luke Heiserman, Maria Vignauloria, Nancy Rose Houston, who's also our great volunteer tonight. Nancy Rose, not sure where you're coming up, good. Nicole, also a researcher, and Helen. So these students form parts of some of our projects. One of it is Indigenous Rights and Environmental Sustainability. That project aims to center the rights of Indigenous peoples in discussion about climate change and environmental sustainability in Washington through partnerships with tribal communities to support recovery of the Salish Sea. The other project, which will be featured tonight, is the strategies for massage parlor workers' rights, which you'll find out more about in a little bit. Our immigrant rights project, and also our unfinished sentences project, which is an initiative of the center, which aims to document and share stories of survivors of crimes against humanity committed in the context of El Salvador's armed conflict to support efforts of truth and accountability. And we will also be expanding that. Actually, we have expanded it and will continue to do so, and looking at other areas of Central America as well. If you could bear with me. Oh, that would yeah, go for it. That would help. There is an extra. So, there we go. Did we get it? Please give up a round of applause.
Thank you, Y. I am now delighted to introduce a brand new project in collaboration between the Center for Human Rights and the Massage Parlor Outreach Project. This work deepens community-based research on how state laws and other regulations impact the living and working conditions of Asian migrant workers in the greater Seattle area. The center is absolutely honored to be part of this in partnership with the Massage Parlor Outreach Project, and we're excited to hear more from the members of this project later this evening. To kick this off, I'd like to introduce and bring on up Shandan Reddy, who is Associate Professor in the Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies Department, and also the Comparative History of Ideas, and Qingyin Chen, who's Assistant Professor in the School of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences at UW-Bothell. These are the two faculty leads on the Strategies for Massage Parlor Workers' Rights Project, and they are going to share a little more about the project and lead us to the panel portion of this evening. So please take it away.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight with us. I want to give a special shout out and thank you to the workers for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here with us today. This work is for you, and we wouldn't be here without you. So here's a moment we want to thank and acknowledge you in the room. If you want to wave and be acknowledged, you can.
As Chingy said, we just really want to emphasize our gratitude for everyone who joined us tonight to learn a little bit about the collaboration between the UW Center for Human Rights and the massage workers in the Seattle and King County and neighboring county areas, and the community organization MPOP, Massage Parlor Outreach Project, from which we're going to hear more. Everything you're going to hear tonight is not possible without the bravery and the profound intelligence of the massage workers in the region. And we'll have more to say on that, but we just really want to thank you so much for joining us and being part of the celebration tonight. We want to thank as well, first and foremost, MPOP, our collaborator. Let's give them a round of applause. MPOP is a community-based organization. They are a collective of Chinese diasporic peoples, mainly, including Chingy, who's a member. So Chingy's like wearing both hats. And many of our student workers are also members of the collective. And they will hear a lot more about their history and their origins shortly. But we just wanted to extend our profound thanks for their willingness to work with us in this research project and for the trust that the workers place in MPOP to grow workers' power and their histories through this initiative. It's just been an honor to be a part of that collaboration with MPOP. We also want to thank the UW Center for Human Rights, without which none of this would be possible, especially Angelique Godoy, who's not here, but really needs a shout out. So let's give her a round of applause so she can see in the recording. And we also really have to thank Oi, who is just tireless as the associate director in making everything work and has been one of the biggest advocates of this project and has really enabled all the work that we've done in this research project. So we really wouldn't be here without her, and we just can't thank her enough for her strategic vision. And of course, we want to thank Andrea for making tonight possible and for all the work you did. And the last thanks that we would like to also offer is to our student interns who've just been stunning and amazing, and some of whom are also translating today. So Anna, who's one of our graduate students in Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies, is also one of the translators. The other translator is Helen back there. And we just can't thank Helen and Anna enough for their openness to translate tonight and to keep up with really fast speakers in an impossible language, English, which I hate. So yes, thank you so much for being here. But our student workers have been incredible. And one of the best parts of this research collaboration has been to give avenues of connection between Chinese migrant students who are here at University of Washington and Chinese migrant workers, care workers, the massage workers who are in the city. They've learned so much from collaborating with workers. Our students have told us personally that they've just been transformed by learning from migrant women who've come before them, and from their deep intelligence, and from learning what you can do when you work together to build power, that a new world is possible together. And so we just are so proud of them. And then I will pass it to you to introduce our first speaker.
So we wanted to introduce our first speaker, who is a longtime MPOP core member. I think MPOP's work is about care for each other, care for our communities. And I feel like this member, Rosanna Sze, exemplifies that. Rosanna is always feeding everyone, always the one that is, a steady presence, and making sure the things get done, the boxes get moved, and I'm really excited to hear what Rosanna has to say. Welcome, Rosanna.
Thanks, Chandan and Chi. I'm gonna hide behind the podium because I'm nervous. So good evening, everyone. It's so lovely to be here with so many friends, community, and workers. First, I'd like to thank the workers we organize with, especially those here today. They are the lifeblood of this work, and I've been deeply transformed by the caring relationships we've formed over the years. Let us extend gratitude to their daily contributions as care workers to so many people across so many different communities. Second, I'd like to thank UWCHR for their ongoing support in growing worker-centered and worker-led initiatives. Tonight, I'd like to highlight the many areas of UWCHR-backed work and uplift the many years of organizing MPOP has done as a collective. So the seed for the work that MPOP does today was planted in 2018 when one of our core members, JM Wong, was completing their internship at UWCHR, investigating occupational health concerns of Asian migrant massage workers. Their work coincided with a series of police raids of massage parlors in Seattle and Bellevue, supposedly aimed at disbanding sex trafficking operations and rescuing migrant workers from trafficking. In the lineage of survivor advocacy work led by UWCHR, MPOP formed to respond to these raids and support workers impacted by them. Building on the knowledge of our sister organizations, Red Canary Song in New York and Butterfly in Ontario, we understood that raids are a serious form of state violence, serving to displace and criminalize unlicensed migrant workers and sex workers. Far from addressing trafficking, raids too often result in steep business fines, harassment from law enforcement, deportation, and continued defiling of dignity, reputation, and agency of migrant workers. We began regular outreach foremost as a way to establish trust and to learn from workers about what mattered to them, what made them feel secure, and what could ensure safe working conditions. We also sought to create a safety network that they could access if and when they encountered state violence. By March of 2021, we had established a deeper connection with many workers after persistently showing up and gradually becoming familiar faces. It was also at that time that the rest of the country tuned their attention towards migrant spa workers. Unfortunately, it was the tragic mass shooting of 3 Asian spas in Atlanta that brought workers into the national spotlight. It highlights how state, racialized, and gendered violence sets the backdrop of our organizing and research. As our work grows, UWCHR's involvement has enabled deeply relational and transformative community-based research that documents workers' histories and supports their own advocacy. While traditional research methods are carefully controlled and contained within a predictable environment, our research is set in the community and aims to cultivate workers' leadership and increase their power. When workers share their narratives with us in the form of oral histories, they have the opportunity to have their voices centered and amplified. When they participate in events or workshops, they gather knowledge, resources, and community that expands their access to safety and connection. With UWCHR's support, we conducted 18 interviews to better understand workers' migration histories and labor experiences. We surveyed topics such as quality of life, community and workplace safety, impacts of criminalization, and power dynamics within the industry. These interviews were also a more interactive, politicized dialogue between interviewer and interviewee. It was a setting where we could share more deeply about our abolitionist stances on topics like anti-Black racism or stigma and violence towards sex workers and our unhoused neighbors. Through dialogue, we mutually learn and challenge our understanding of these dynamics. And while we tried to be upfront about our politics through creation and distribution of zines and through training and discussions, we also hold space for healing trauma, internalized oppression, and horizontal oppression. The storytelling aspect of the Oral History Project is an opportunity for workers to speak their truth and to be witnessed in their humanity. As an interviewer, we go into these conversations curious about what makes it worthwhile to work and live thousands of miles away from home, away from familiar streets and smells, away from the mother tongue that allows one to navigate day-to-day activities freely. Sometimes it's the sacrifice a mother makes to pave a way for better opportunities for a child. Other times, it's a spirit of adventure that propels one abroad, but quickly becomes entangled in emerging needs to survive. Sometimes survival leads to sex work. And while not all workers engage in sex work as assumed within stereotypes, those who do so for reasons that span across a spectrum from voluntary to forced and coerced. What is consensual becomes murky. There are workers who promise themselves never to get involved in sex work, only to realize that it's one of the few options for earning money in a highly competitive, devalued, and delegitimized industry. We make space for these stories to honor the complexities of this work and to dispel the stigma and shame that makes this work even more dangerous and isolating. An ongoing part of this project is to translate and share these stories in the form of art interpretations, as well as anonymized and aggregated narratives. Amidst pressures of current and impending gentrification and the classist outcasting from other Asian American businesses, we hope that sharing these narratives will generate a cultural shift on how massage workers are regarded, returning the power of narrative to their hands. Another way of transferring this power is by ensuring that workers have linguistic and cultural access within MPOP and within our broader community. Over the past year, MPOP members with varying levels of language fluency have facilitated trainings in Mandarin on various topics spanning from mental health care, self-defense, and gender-based violence. In order to have politicized conversations, we increasingly need to utilize technology and tools such as interpreters, translators, and simultaneous interpretation equipment as we're using today. Language justice allows not only for migrant workers to access basic needs such as healthcare or professional needs like licensing. It is also vital for exchanging ideas and experiences with other labor organizers, such as the Farm Workers Union, Familias Unidas por la Justicia. Language justice allows us to build transnationally and locally across intersections. It also allows workers to participate and share on platforms that they typically would not have opportunities to, such as tonight's symposium. Today, I'm so delighted that we will be hearing from two workers who are regular participants in our activities. I'm so grateful that these workers continuously share their stories and perspectives. I'm also grateful that we'll be hearing from our incredible intern, Lanqing Ren. Over the past 2 years, our collaboration with UW has allowed us to bring on many interns who have supported us in coordinating worker trainings, strengthening internal and external communications, and expanding our outreach activities. UW interns contribute to a beautifully generative intergenerational dynamic of MPOP's work that I hope you all can appreciate as we hear from our next speakers. I want to thank UWCHR again for the many opportunities to collaborate and promote workers' leadership and rights, as well as safety and belonging. The community-based and relational research that UWCHR funds is first and foremost a humanizing experience. Moving forward, MPOP is working on establishing a worker center with our community partner CID Coalition. We imagine the space as the hub of our organizing efforts, a place where workers can find belonging in a home away from home, and a place to come together and build solidarity in the struggles that we collectively face. As we move into the next chapter of our work, I look forward to continued collaboration with UWCHR and with you all as our beloved community. Thank you.
大家好，我叫任兰青，是华盛顿大学大四的在读生，也是按摩工人互助小组的一员。我更习惯称它为 MPOP。很荣幸能远程参加这次研讨会。我是来自中国的一名国际生，此刻我正在家中陪伴我的家人，因此特别感谢华大人权中心能够尊重我今天以视频的形式，并且以我的母语来讲述 MPOP 带给我的独家记忆，以及支持我在 MPOP 的工作。说起来，这是我大学生涯中第一次用中文做校内讲话。身处异国他乡，最亲的母语变成了别人鲜少选修的第二语言，好像显得有些难登大雅之堂。我的同学和教授们大多不知道我的中文名。我在华大的系统上填上了更好发音的英文名，即便那是我耗时5分钟从英文名大全里选中的。我和我的同伴早已适应给自己安一个假名，给自己和他人都避免了尴尬。直到进入 MPOP， 那是第一次有人问起我中文名字的声调和写法。因此，利用这个来之不易的机会，我也想跟大家聊一聊语言的力量。去年的这个时间，我刚刚了解 MPOP， 通过 MPOP 的外展计划和按摩工友们变得熟悉。MPOP 的组织者们大多还在中文学习阶段，因此我偶尔会充当翻译和传话筒。那时候，我第一次被人夸赞英文水平。有工人说，大学生就是不一样，会英语。在这儿，英语就是一切，知道吗？在美国，你会说英语就有了权利。我站在那里，第一次意识到自己在这片土地上的特权。此前，我一直沉浸在国际生的尴尬位置，孤身来到陌生的国家，脱离了国内的舒适圈和家人的保护层。因为不够流畅、不够生活化的口语而减少社交，陷入2点一线的单调生活。面对机会时，无数次被没有身份、不是公民而阻隔。挣扎于找寻归属感和身份认同时，我反而忘记了掌握一门外语、拥有异国留学的机会已是多么难得的特权。对于没有这份特权的人来说，生活并非不是，而是不便，层层叠叠构成的一道难以跨越的坎。久而久之，按摩工友们学会了依坎而生的生存之道，被客人用英文辱骂、赖账、胡搅蛮缠，陪着笑脸送走就好，只要没有造成身体的伤害，无法获取医疗医保，疫情期间不知道如何预约疫苗接种，躲在家中避免与人接触就好，还能节省口罩。按摩从业执照愈发难考，加紧学习就好，哪怕那意味着500小时的在线课程和通过统一的全英文笔试测试。哪怕按摩工人多为亚裔，哪怕对他们而言，真正能学到东西的，永远是从他们的前辈和工友身上。每个工友都絮叨着要把学英语提上日程，因为他们知道英语有多重要。可是时间总要拿来早出晚归的打工赚钱，他们又说只要等攒够钱就学。所有这些故事起初是我们主动问起，后来熟识的工人们也主动打开话匣。接受我们采访的工人反过来感谢我们，他们说啰啰嗦嗦说了这么多，也不知道你们愿不愿意听。是他们的传奇被尘封了太久没被翻开，他们经常说着感恩的话，但其实是他们的积极参与和出谋划策，才让我们的活动和项目变得完满。 比如口述历史的采访，比如节庆日团聚。离家几年，每个春节我都没能回家，甚至有的时候还要复习考试。年过得越来越敷衍，速冻的饺子吃起来只让人想起从中超购物回家后不想做饭的某个普通夜晚。是工友们让我吃到了现擀现包的3鲜水饺，面板、擀面杖、3个和馅儿的铁盆，是 MPOP 任何节日庆典时他们的行头。不管春节、中秋还是元宵，大家围满几桌，带着浓浓的北方味道。于是我在美国也有了家。自去年夏天加入以来，频繁参加活动的工友们很快熟悉我、认可我。可能因为我更亲切的北方口音和从小练就的话家常能力，MPOP 的组织者们同样照顾我。可能因为某种文化连结，更因为他们理解我的身份认同困境和语言不自信。我无数次被鼓励自我表达，承担团队责任，不断被肯定。所以我第一次对决策提出质疑和想法。不同于之前带给我耻感的单方面求教，我们互为彼此的中英字典。所以第一次遇到听不懂的语句时，我没有含糊带过，而是请他们多做解释。当然，语言的障碍没有那么容易跨越。当大多数不讲英文的工友遇上大多数中文水平有限的组织者，沟通很容易失效。工人们分享的内容说着组织者们晕头转向，想做出补充的组织者也会因为语言不通张不开嘴。所以去年秋天，我们首次尝试了同声传译，工友们得以和社群中的其他组织对话。后来，多亏华大人权中心以及多方的赞助支持，渐渐 MPOP 有了更多能力，邀请口译的朋友们加入小组讨论。今年3月16日，MPOP 举行追悼会，纪念亚特兰大枪击案中遇难的按摩工人和农历新年之际加州2起大规模枪击案中遇难的同胞。我们邀请了各个少数社群组织的组织者来发言，也将他们的讲话翻译成中越双语，传达给来到现场的工人。今年我们建立了工人中心，已经在那里举办了第1场活动，还在为未来的更多精彩筹备着。提及按摩业的拼搏与压迫，不可分割的种族、性别、阶级问题交叉作用着。我们希望和工友们交流这些，也希望邀请更多有经验的社群组织者来到 MPOP 和工友们畅聊分享，打破信息壁垒。消除语言障碍将是其中的重要一环。回看加入 MPOP 的大约1年时间，我们共同把无数个灵光一现的梦变成现实。加入 MPOP 的选择对我来说如此珍贵，不仅为了工友，更是为了 MPOP 带给我太多家的情感、自我认同、同僚伙伴，甚至未来方向的指引。我的分享里夹杂了很多个人情绪，也感谢大家的倾听，感谢华大人权中心一如既往的支持，谢谢大家。
That was a recording from one of our student interns, Lanqing, and let's just give her another round of applause for such an amazing speech. We now have an opportunity to hear a reflection by one of the massage workers in the region who also recorded a video, and will play next.
我的名字叫向一鸣，我是在中国大陆湖北出生，然后23岁跟我先生移民到了珠海，然后在珠海大概待了11年，然后再移民到了98年移民到了美国。其实每个年代不同，我那个年代特别就是就是我们一种就是亲情吧。然后就是后来就是美食，因为在美国来讲呢，我也待了这么多年。其实我现在美国比在中国大陆待的，就是一个地方所待的时间是最长的，就是比较少有没有什么亲情这一类，比较孤单孤独。在国内的话，就是反正就是亲情比较多，可以走亲访友的，在美国几乎是没有的，就是缺乏了这些东西，对。 是我的先生的姐姐在美国，然后一个偶然的机缘，后来我们也就移民到了美国来了。来了以后，就是我一直都在洛杉矶。我们来美国的时候也是，我先生他姐姐来美国以后，就需要就说有点亲人在身边呢，也没有考虑到这个就是到底是怎么样。我觉得我们人不管走到哪里，就靠了一双手，靠劳动，一定会把日子过得下来的。对。其实我来美国也是蛮坎坷的。刚开始呢，因为英文也不会，其实我现在英文也不好，就后来在家里做保姆，大概做了1年多以后呢，又改成做的餐馆啦、打餐馆啦，打餐馆也是受歧视。我们当时也是被不懂嘛，刚来美国什么都不懂，语言也不通，就被老板欺压。欺压以后呢，就600块钱1个月，就从早上11点做到晚上12点，差不多将近这么长时间。然后其他的工资就按小费多少份额来。当时我们也不懂这个劳动法，后来就是做了一段时间以后呢，结果他说要等我们满了6个月的试用期，然后再工资再加上去。等你做了6个月以后呢，他也不要你了，因为他工资要往上加，他再请新人，他还是600块钱的底薪。所以我们当时都不知道，所以就这样就被人家 fire 掉、炒掉了。然后后来就又进入一个朋友的公司做销售，就是卖那个保健品，因为基本上他们所针对都是华人，本身我也会讲广东话、普通话，所以这样相对来讲做的就比较顺。后来05年就开始生病了，我先生呢又长期在纽约，就是被公司派到纽约。然后我自己05年开始得生了病，得了乳腺癌。得了乳腺癌以后呢，就开始在家里边就是化疗。然后在这个期间当中呢，我先生就跟我离婚了。所以我一直病了到2010年的时候，整个的病就是包括转移到肝脏啊，经过肝脏的2次开刀，然后后来我的意思就10年经过2次开刀以后，我大概11年的时候，在一个非常一个偶然机缘的情况下，我的一个朋友就跟我讲，他说你要不要学一个按摩的 license， 学好了以后你对你自己也有帮助。当时我自己就花了1500块钱学了一个就是全美的 license， 不是联邦的，但是那个 license 呢又不能给你一个正式的工作的一个那个证。后来又在他们就同学之间就说，你要不要去学加州的 license？ 然后这样的情况下，后来我就去学加州的 license。这个时候有就是同学，我们在一起，同学呢就跟我讲说，你像你这种情况，你可以申请政府的补助。后来我就申请了政府补助，就去了是在那个越南烫那边一个学校大概学了半年多吧，就拿了一个加州的 license。我从那个时候就开始，因为那个时候也是身体不好，一直处于一种半工作半休息的状态，基本上就是在中医诊所做。我从那个时候就开始进入这个按摩这个行业。对，其实我们按摩这边这个行业呢，其实就是说你有一分的付出，也有一分回报，但是也不是这样的。可是你有时候你觉得，其实我觉得我做得很好，可是因为你知道我们这个行业也是靠小费，就像跟打餐馆一样的。当你觉得每次你问的客人很满意的时候，客人给你的小费有时候觉得很失望，这是我们是一种非常正常的经历。所以很多东西比较开心，就是说，当我用我的中国的这种按摩方式帮到我的客人，他们解决很多问题的时候，我就觉得特别开心。他虽然给我的就是我的打这一份工，比别人做得更好，客人更满意，但是他同样给的都是同样的那个就是钱或者是怎么样。但是我觉得我帮到我的客人的话，我觉得我特别开心，是真的是有一种你有一种成就感，来帮到我的客人，帮他解决了很多，就包括西医都解决不了的问题，能帮他解决问题，我是觉得很开心。对。其实工作中的挑战就是语言，然后就是你要不断的去学习。像我刚开始一样的，我刚开始都不太懂这些就是经络穴位，然后我就不断挑战我自己，我要去在网上去看，然后在我客人身上做实验，就是我帮他做一些我的网上突然出现这个穴位可以帮到他的腰酸背痛，然后我就去试，所以效果很好，就是客人一直在找你的时候，做了几个月以后，几个星期以后，他很有明显的改善，然后再回馈给我的时候，这就我是觉得很大。当然你要做这一行的时候，要不断去挑战自己，你不断要改变自己。因为按摩方式，你不能说其实，在我们很多美国的客人，他来到我们就是中国人开这个店，他很多想是解决疼痛问题，因为他去美国的按摩店，因为我们有的按摩师，我的客人当中也有很多美国的按摩师， 来到在我手上做。我刚开始不知道他是什么样的情况，后来他说我是按摩师的，当然我就改变我的按摩方式以后，这个我的这个美国按摩师就回馈给我的东西非常好，他特别开心。所以这就是我的一种挑战东西，就是说你在你的按摩行业，你不要挑战自己，要提高自己，对。然后比方说，只要说我是按摩师，人家就刻板印象你就是做色情行业的那一种。但是我这个人，我跟别人想法不一样。任何人问我在做什么职业，我绝对一口说出来按摩师。我不怕别人去任何想法，但是我们做这一行的经常会遇到这样的问题，知道吧？所以有时候就是不解不惑，就是没办法。但是我个人觉得我做了正，起了正，站了正，所以我不怕别人对我有任何的想法。其实现在的贫富差距越来越大，对我们来讲，我们包括现在的楼市涨得也非常厉害。等我们把钱存够了，这楼市又涨了去了，我根本无法有一个就是让你能够安居乐业的那种，就是那种感觉，你知道吧？老是觉得我自己觉得老是自己像个浮萍一样的在飘，没有个港湾，没有一个岸可以靠。另外就是说，你说美国讲人权，可是人权现在被这些有钱人，被有钱人所掌控。其实他们只要有钱，我任何叫你的政客任何时间可以闭嘴，任何时间可以帮他们说话。所以像我们这种最底层的这种市民，你真的没办法去发言或者想说点什么改变，用我们这个微薄的力量去改变。我到现在20几年了，没有看到任何的改变。我估计我在有生之年也看不到，但是我希望能用我们这微薄的一种力量，能够去慢慢去一点一点的增加力量，去改变这个社会。对，我也是通过就是那个 Julia 在他们上班以后，进入你们的这个小组，让我觉得特别的开心，特别的温馨。因为我在加州做了将近10几年了，从来没有这个组织能够就说是不管是怎么说吧，就是你没有这个组织的时候，你就像工人没有工会，就像没有家一样的感觉。你觉得你被人欺负了以后啊，你真的是没法去讲这些东西。我来到这边以后，一说这个小组，让我就特别的开心。有活动我就参加，我是让我觉得就像回到了家的感觉。有回娘家，你就要去说什么，有人愿意去听，你知道，可以提出来帮助，真的是让我觉得特别温馨，特别开心，对。就是能够尽量帮助他们减轻一些就是负担，因为他们工作也是很累，早上10点到晚上11、12点也是蛮辛苦的，基本上都是7天在工作，能够帮他解决这个 license 啊这些证，就是按摩证这些方面，我是觉得是比较这是就是他们工作的需要最大的一个点。对。
Now we have time for one more testimony that we'd like to share as well. So we'll have that one run.
通常大家都叫我大象，我来自中国武汉，然后我的出生地、生长地都在武汉，后来是嫁到90年到珠海去发展的，广东，生活在广东。后来主要是家人吧，还有我是个吃货，美食。中国的美食比较多，特别是现在比较想念吃的一些什么武汉小吃啊，什么东西的，反正就是家里还有妈妈、哥哥、家人在武汉。因为我也有一个姐姐在美国，然后呢，我就反正也想自己出来看一看吧，开阔一下眼界。在美国生活了6、7年，感觉美国还不错，相当于是从中国嫁到美国来吧，就是这样的。也爱美国，也爱中国。打比方说，美国是婆婆家，中国是自己的娘家，都是妈妈一样的，都是感觉都是自己的祖国一样的。本来我在中国也就是美容师， 然后来了美国之后呢，就是感觉还是想从事这一行，但是美容师和按摩证呢比较难考，因为他们都是讲英文的。反正现在就是还是比较喜欢做按摩这个行业，因为不说多了去吧，还可以帮客人治治病啊什么的，聊聊天啊什么的。我觉得这个职业挺好的。不要战争，就是怎么说呢？国泰民安，国泰了，我们才能安居乐业，对不对？有了工作，我们才有好的生活。你没失去了工作，哪里来的好的生活？你像有的国家生活在战乱中，美国和中国已经算是不错的了，没有什么战争啊，就是能够比较平安的生活吧。谈论政治的话呢，我好像不行，我只要求国泰民安就行了，就是安居乐业吧，就是很简单的，我的要求没那么多。我觉得来了西雅图之后，有你们这个按摩就是协会，就是按摩工人的协会，我觉得真的是挺好的，最起码有一个倾诉的对象。也可以受到你们的保护。说真的，这个工作对于我来说，反正不被保护的就是平时有的时候呢，就是有的人，我前2天我的店里面就进来了一个背包客，他直接就走向了我的吧台，因为我里面休息室里面有监控，你知道吧？这个但是很少很少。这个背包客呢，可能有点行动有点不那个，就是举止有点不文明，他可能想去偷窃一些什么东西，结果可能我就一下子从休息室走出来把他喝止了，他就走掉了。但是有的时候有一些就是流浪汉呐、进来拿一些巧克力啊什么的，这个我还能够就是说让他们还可以多拿一点，这个都无所谓的。但是你要是直径走向我的吧台，这种行为就是不对的了，可能是想偷窃什么东西。我刚开始，我之前在在中国是做美容的，让我来了美国之后做这个按摩的话呢，比较轻易上手，所以说挑战也没有什么，就是2种做法的不同。然后工作上就是人跟人之间的相处吧，就是心放宽一点呗。矛盾肯定是有的，就是我一般通常我不去想那么多，就是这样的，反正心宽一点，不想那么多就行了。其他的挑战，有一些好的客人和不好的客人呢都会有，但是绝大多数都是还是蛮好的客人，都是比较好的。就是我们做按摩这一行嘛，说实话有好和不好的。总而言之，说出去做按摩这一行的话呢，都是不好的影响。怎么扭转？慢慢的去做吧，就是做好我自己，因为我管不了那么多。我估计暂时现在是扭转不了，得靠大家慢慢的去做好自己，做好每一个人就是自己应该做的事情，才能够慢慢的去扭转，是这样的。我自己而言的话呢，我觉得就是客人来呢，一般就是比较要放松的，然后呢这里疼啊，能够帮他缓解一下呀，就是说往大了去，我感觉我自己像个医生。往小了去呢，反正就是陪他聊聊天呐。你像我有个香港的客人就是的，跟她老公之间发生那些矛盾，过来做脚，你跟他聊聊天，他说：“哎呀，虽然说做了1个小时脚，他说但是我跟你聊天，我觉得心情舒畅很多。”我也觉得这个 一个小小的成就吧，这样的。有些客人，比如说，要是做起来之后，你跟他做了按摩之后，他觉得哎呀这里舒服很多，我觉得其实自己心里面也是很舒服的，也算是一个小成就吧，就是这样的。按摩工人互助小组的话呢，我是去年5月份从加州搬过来的，然后呢打的第一份工是在 Julia 那里的，是他介绍我进来这个群里面的。但是我觉得真的是通过了快1年的接触，我觉得这个按摩工人协助小组真的是很不错，说实话，真的帮我们做了很多事情。最起码有个地方倾诉一下呀，工作啊、生活上面的压力啊带来的一些不愉快啊什么的。我觉得真的挺好的，加州没有，加州是没有的。我很荣幸参加这个小组，真的很感谢你们。关于身份，就是考按摩证的话，能不能简化一点？就是能给中文的考试是最好了。我目前知道的是拿600小时证书是13800美金。移民的话呢，移民身份的话就是，哎，我都不知道怎么说这个问题。我也想尽快拿到美国的移民，就是美国的身份，但是我现在还在等待中。尽快拿到身份，就是也能在美国工作，还可以回去看看家人，就是这样的，很简单。
Thank you so much. So now we just want to first just give another round of applause to both of those incredible interviews and testimonies from the workers. And now it's my pleasure and fortune to introduce 2 other core members of MPOP to help close out the evening and maybe answer a few questions. They are both friends, and one of them is a former PhD graduate of the University of Washington Department of Gender, Women, and Sexuality Studies, Shushuan Zhou and JM Wang.
Hi, I'm Shushan. Hi, I'm JM. Thank you for coming. So let's try to take 3 questions. Thank you all for listening and also being here with us.
A little awkward.
Yeah.
If folks have no questions, that's fine too. But I mean, there's.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we're saying it's a little awkward, so it's okay if folks have no questions. But there are workers in the room. There's a lot of MPOP folks here as well. And so if people have thoughts to share, things you want to communicate, we'll translate and share with the workers. Rata.
Now this may be something to think about in the future, but is there any plans to expand to California where a lot of the folks are coming from? No pressure either way.
Sure. Expand to other. Wow. Expand to California? Yeah, I think we'll need. So a lot of workers do come here through Los Angeles and New York, right? Because we know like there's the first 2 stops usually, and we would love to have a partner in Los Angeles. Because as what one of the interviewee actually mentioned, there are so many migrant Asian or especially Chinese workers there, massage workers there, but there's no MPOP there, right?
No, we're not expanding. That's not the spirit of this work. And I think, yeah, ideally it's all relational. And, you know, we have been putting in a lot of time talking with the workers to understand just how people travel, why people end up in Seattle. And there are a lot of people who go back and forth between Seattle and, Washington and California. So the dream is that we're doing good work and that people replicate these models everywhere.
Can I make the dream bigger? So I do think if in Los Angeles, New York, and here, and also a lot we know that a lot more workers move to Texas. If everywhere we have some MPOP or similar organization, which will be the dream because the turnover is really high. So it's really hard for us to build relationships 3 months and worker move somewhere. So if there's other groups, I'm just talking about dream. If there are some other groups, then we can say, you know, these are our friends. They are going to your city. Please take care of them. Yeah. You first.
Hi, thank you so much for making this space for this. I'm interested in how you broke down the barriers between university as like a large institution entity and then collaborating with community organizations. Personally, I'm running into a lot of distrust with community members to the institution. And so I'm wondering what did you have to do to navigate through that?
You want to start and I can add?
I can start. Yeah, I think I'm very mistrustful of institutions too. I was a student at UW as well. I did my master's here in occupational health. But I think one really meaningful thing is our relationships with individuals in various departments. So, you know, with Chandan and Huai has been super helpful. Angelina has been showing up in a lot of immigrant rights work. We also have a really deep relationship with the Labor Center. And Sze is here, you know, Andrew, Moon, like these are individuals from institutions that I feel like have been involved in community work. And that was the premise, that was the environment and context in which we met a lot of these folks. And yeah, we try to do things on UW's dime when we can. So.
We are both UW alumni, so we do already have relationship, and also thank you to like Chanda and also a lot of faculty members and graduate students who already have a lot of community organizing experience. So it's easier to communicate like what counts as research, right? And it can look like doing surveys, but it can also look like visiting different parlors and then collecting what each worker is experiencing. So we do need folks who are inside the institution have understanding of how we do community work. Yeah, and I think, I feel like all these 3 centers have been really understanding.
I guess just naming that there's a certain privilege, you know, that we come with as college grads and that can interpret and navigate the bureaucracy of UW. Not every grassroots group is gonna have that. And yeah, so I think that, and then, you know, navigating how to receive funds, Huai knows how much of a basket case we have been in terms of navigating the nonprofit, you know, the fiscal sponsorship, all of that bureaucracy, and us having, this is just, would be a lot harder if we didn't speak English, is basically what I'm saying, and that if we weren't college educated.
Obviously, the women here had like legitimate licenses and were able to do massage work. How many people in your project did you come across that were brought over here and exploited? And what sort of research have you found in numbers as far as migrants come over here, they're exploited? And is there any like projects to retrain them so that they can go out and do meaningful work?
Yeah, so if I hear you, correct me if I understand it wrong. So you're saying that you think the 2 workers in the being interviewed all have like licenses, so are doing work, decent job situation. So asking that if we know other workers who have been coming here being exploited, and do you have like data or other ways to support them? Okay, yeah. I think that's an assumption that the both interviewees have licenses and they also have good labor condition in their work. I don't want to correct whatever, but because these two people's life stories, is not, I don't want to tell for them, but just in terms of how the workers we interact with, I would say regardless if they have licenses, the life will be a little bit easier, but still, you know, the whole industry is an industry, so they work from 9 to 9, 9 to 10. And the exploitation is always there, I would say. And the barrier of licensing just made it even worse. Because, you know, then there's always a danger of from police violence, all the other stuff. I don't know if I've covered. Huh? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think on that note of criminalization and licensing, I think we just want to draw attention to a recent raid that happened just last week. I think this is very much MPOP's history. MPOP came about as a response to the 2018 raids in Chinatown International District. And, you know, raids have been ongoing throughout King County, I mean, throughout the country. But just last week, there were 9 parlors that were raided across King County. And some of the folks were MPOP workers that MPOP had reached out to. And so one of them hit up Su Xuan to let her know. But yeah, so much of it is around, you know, just the rescue operation, the rescue politics of we need to rescue these people from sex trafficking when in reality, there's a spectrum of people, right? Some who do voluntary sex work, some who don't even do sex work. And in this case, just this self-congratulatory language for that King County Sheriff's put out of like, we rescued all these women, you know, when in reality, none of these people were trafficked. Like even the charges showed that none of these were trafficking charges, but the rhetoric that's being used to justify these raids is that of trafficking. And so we have a lot of, we just end up hearing a lot of money being stolen, people losing their jobs, people having no places to live. And that is the consequence. And I think it's important to share this story in part because things are going to ramp up in Seattle. The raids are going to ramp up in Seattle, we're pretty sure, because as we know, CID, Chinatown International District, is home to so many stadiums. And we have the World Cup coming. We have, I don't know, some baseball league game coming. And so much of that rhetoric is, oh, with that comes trafficking, right? So rather than talking about gentrification, displacement, and encampment sweeps, the state is going to use the language of we're rescuing these women from trafficking, and how they actually operationalize that is through raids of parlors and places where people are actually not trafficked. Like in some of these places, and you know, not to say trafficking doesn't happen in King County, it does, but from what we have seen, the places that raids have occurred from the stuff that we have tracked, and we have a research extraordinaire, Emmy, who's here. Thank you, Emmy, who does amazing public records requests. Yeah, the places where they have raided are not places where people are being trafficked. We have heard that from the workers. So we are really concerned that there's going to be an uptick in the next 2 years, all under the premise of quote unquote rescuing women, when actually they're the ones, the state is the one that's pushing through displacement, you know, gentrification, encampment sweeps, and attacks on poor people. So on that note, the criminalization is real.
All right. Before we closing tonight's event out, we want to share some gratitude of gifts.
Some small tokens of appreciation for the people who have put up with us for the last year. So first we have one for Andrea for making this possible. Thank you. Thank you. And then to Huai. And then to dear Chanlin. Chanlin is shy. And to Angelina, who's not here, but you guys can type. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the workers who are here and who have been supporting us all the way through. Okay.
Thank you.
I think this one's. All right. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. It was lovely to spend this time with you, and thank you for listening and hearing from all the participants in this project and this collaboration. And thank you especially for the people who have been directly involved in that collaboration. So please drive safely, and thanks again for coming. Have a great evening.